You're watching Get the Skinny with your hosts, Brian Kilby and JD Church.
Okay, so this is Get the Skinny episode 4. This is like our 7th take, but it works. We are really streaming. We are really broadcasting. I am Brian Kilby, and this is JD Church. Hey, JD.
Hi.
You're awesome.
I try.
Yes. So we've been fighting some technical difficulties here. It's what we do. It's our job. And so this is the show where we share our weight loss journey with you and approach the news and things from a skeptical perspective. We're two fat guys who are not doctors, who are not giving you medical advice.
No, always consult your physician.
Yes, always consult your physician. We cannot stress that more. But we look at the news and we try to tell you. We try to filter out the junk, the stuff that you don't need. We try to help you sort of look at things critically, and we share our weight loss. I mean, we're fat. We want to lose weight. We both had struggles with this. We both lost weight. I mean, I lost weight. I was pretty healthy. I had that the eye of the tiger, just like Rocky had, but I lost it, and I'm trying to get it back. So
you went with Eye of the Tiger.
Yes, I could have went with one of the Vince DiCola songs, or I could have went with the his brother, whatever his name was, Frank Stallone, or whoever it is. I don't know, whoever did the music.
I thought you meant Vince DiCola's brother.
Yeah, really? Vince DiCola's brother, yeah. But, so this we approach things skeptically and such. So, JD, how's it going this week?
It's going. It's going pretty good, actually. I had a moment of sort of panic this morning, no light panic. I've made it a habit to weigh in every Sunday morning because that's the day that we do the show. And I try to do that before I eat breakfast. So, and after other things have been evacuated.
Hey, it's true. I mean, we're honest here. I mean, that's the way
for maximum,
fiber is your friend.
Right. So, anyway, so I get on the scale this morning. And I weighed in last week, even though we didn't do a show, and I came in at 507, which was awesome. That meant I had lost a few pounds from the previous week, and I was like, okay, that seems like a lot, but that's cool, So I go to weigh in today, and the scale comes up and says 500.
Wow.
Which would have meant that I would have lost 7 pounds over the last week. And again, here's the key to the critical thinking in terms of weight loss and progress, is that you have to sort of be able to think rationally and say, did I really lose 7 pounds, or is my scale wonky? So I stepped off. It's a digital scale. I mean, the top end on the scale is 550, and I know I'm like I said, I'm in still that 500 range. So I know I'm at the top end of the scale, which means it's not likely to be as accurate that far
absolutely,
up.
That's true.
So, so I step off the scale and I reset it. It's really cool. It talks to me. It tells me, so I don't have to lean over and try to tell.
You can't see it by looking down.
Right. Exactly. So
they could make it like a really big scale. It could be like a scale / DDR mat sort of thing.
Yes, I would. Yeah. There's some different ones that have the wall mount, but I don't know anywhere to put it. So anyways, but this one's nice. It's small, out of the way, and like I said, it talks, so that works. So I step off the scale and I step back on, and it takes a second, and then it comes up and says 486. I'm oh God. So I step off and step on again, and it comes up with 504. So I went with 504, but I'm a little paranoid now because it's I'm not really sure how accurate the scale is actually measuring my weight. Now, it hasn't been as high as it was, which I would think indicates that I am losing weight. But now I'm not really sure how accurate the week-to-week is going to be. Maybe until I lose another 20 or 30 pounds and get it, further away from the upper end. But
I honestly, I typically will try to do a couple of ways, because even though I don't weigh quite as much, I have the same issue with my scale. My scale's max is only, 450, and right now I weighed in unofficially because I didn't weigh in today. Lots of crap going on. I'm 342, which is a net 0. But sometimes it'll weigh a couple pounds more, a couple pounds less. If it's ever really suspect, I'll check it, and more often than not, it'll register the same weight. But sometimes, no, it'll be different. So, yeah. So yeah, I'm right there with you. It's hard to get an accurate measurement. I mean, it's a digital scale, correct?
Yeah, it's digital.
Those are a little wonky anyway, because what happens is the scale has to find a weight, and then it has to be satisfied with the actual number. Then it stops. It sort of locks in on it, where an analog scale can fluctuate all day long, and you can actually sort of get a real look. Where it's literally digital. It's like capturing a moment in time, and weights measure force, and force. There's a lot of physics involved, but
right.
It's digital scales are not, from my experience, as accurate. But yeah, they're about all you can get these days, especially at this weight. I mean, it's just the truth.
That's the issue. I mean, when you get up into 400 plus, weight range, it is really hard to get to that point to be able to weigh yourself. Which I think it's part of that struggle for people that once you get so obese that you get to that point where it's really hard to keep track when you do want to lose weight, and it can be discouraging because it's really hard to measure those few pounds and 1 or 2 pounds a week. I mean, I could lose, like I said, I could lose 5 pounds and it wouldn't necessarily net me a big difference because that's only like 1% of my total body weight at this point.
Yeah. What's going on in the news? I haven't had a chance to really look. You did the show notes this week.
Yeah, not too much. There's one story I wanted to talk about maybe for a couple of different reasons. This is a study that was done out in Belgium. I wasn't able to, and what I would like to do is kind of look and see how large the research pools were. The highlights from the study is that they took 2 groups of young men, I believe. I'm just pulling it up here. So they took 2 groups of young men. One group had a carbohydrate-packed breakfast. They did this for 6 weeks. One had a large carbohydrate breakfast before they worked out, and one had the breakfast after they worked out. The group that had the meal before they worked out gained 3 pounds, and the group that ate after gained no weight. So I don't know. It's now, before they had always said, of course, you want to eat and you want to get carbs in before you work out. On an evolutionary, standpoint, I can see where that may not necessarily matter, because if you think about it, when we work out, that's an analog to chasing down our dinner.
Yeah, it really is. I've never thought of it that way, but that is the truth. Huh.
So, it doesn't necessarily not make internal sense that you may want to work out and then eat and then allow your body to recover. But, of course, there's a couple of things in here that when you think skeptically or you're thinking about it, just a few red flags or questions as far as what you might want to look at. And, of course, this is the abbreviated, so I don't have the full study in front of me. But, they're saying 2 groups of young men, how old, this was done for 6 weeks, which isn't very long. They don't talk about the controls on the other parts of their diet, so we don't know what the variations were within other parts of their diet. And then the interesting thing, I think, is that while the group that ate the breakfast before they worked out gained 3 pounds, the other group gained no pounds. So it's not like they essentially netted nothing. It was actually, it's not so much that it's helpful as much as that it seems to be detrimental from the core, from the part of the study. But the other thing is that I could have swore I saw some research from a few years ago that was saying that you didn't want to work out in the mornings. That, well, at least for some groups, it wasn't healthy to actually work out early in the morning.
I've never heard that. I know most people. I mean, it's not. Of course, it isn't science, but I know the people that I know that are the fittest tend to get up early in the morning and work out. But those people, of course, are also happen to tend to be the most dedicated and the people who are the most conditioned. You know, to follow a routine. So I mean, it only makes sense that they would, be more fit. Or unless they had like a a regimen of eating cupcakes. I'm gonna eat.
Right.
I'm gonna eat 45 cupcakes before bed every night, and I don't know many people who like it besides XV who force themselves to do things like that.
Yeah, but I mean, for me, it's an interesting introductory study, but I wouldn't say that based on what I've read as far as the description of this research, I wouldn't suggest that people change their current routines, because we don't know how big this study was. We don't know how many people were in the study. We also know it was only young men, so there wasn't a diversity of people with different, from different age groups, from different sexes, different age groups. And we also don't know, like I said, there's a lot of questions as far as what were the other parts of their diet, what was the other parts of their activity, what do different, body types, were they already obese, are they not obese? So we don't really have, there's not really enough information to make a good judgment as far as what you may or may not want to do as part of your own workout routine. But of course, this has been picked up by the media, and it's starting to make the rounds now. This was posted as of yesterday, and of course, this is going to make the rounds of saying, yep, you want to make sure that you eat after you work out. And that may not be the case. I think there's still, based on what I'm seeing, I'm not seeing anything to change the current thinking. Whether or not that's right or not, I don't know. But
yeah,
there you go. That's how you want to think about things. I don't want to tell anybody how to think, but in a sense that that's a way that you want to think about it when you're reading research and things like that. That's the kind of critical eye you want to kind of ask yourself about. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, ask
doesn't
yourself,
mean it's wrong.
Yeah, that's true. Ask yourself, does it make sense? Does it, does it cut the mustard? I mean, there's so much out there. It's real. It's almost impossible to not be swayed one way or the other by a piece of compelling news, and it happens to me all the time. And I mean, one reason I like doing this show is because it sort of keeps me. It keeps an edge. It sort of keeps me honest. If something pops up, my initial gut reaction is to form an opinion, but I'm trying as we go along to develop. A more skeptical perspective. While I may think of myself as someone who's sort of skeptical, that's because I have certain predispositions to ideas, and I'm really trying to develop that. Which you've been doing this much longer than I have. Try to develop this nature where you're always questioning something.
Yeah.
And that's how you get to the truth.
Yeah. It's just little red flags. It's just things be aware of. Like I said, this could be true. I mean, there's nothing in there to say it's not. I just think that it's just like anything. A lot of things, the media is going to be prone to pick up stories that grab headlines.
Yes.
Before there's been enough research done to really warrant, a big press release and getting that information out to the public. I think that this looking at it based on the information that they've given, this research is way too preliminary for anyone to make any kind of changes as far as what they should be doing with their current routine. If your current routine is working for you, if you feel like you need to eat before you work out, I mean, as long as you've consulted your physician and that's, they agree that that's what you should do, I don't see any reason based on this study to change that.
Yeah,
so,
your physician's probably not going to care, but it's best to ask anyway.
Yeah, just to be on the safe side. So yeah.
This week you wanted to talk about your surgery that you had.
Yeah, we had talked a few weeks ago, and I had said that I probably ought to mention it because I've kind of said it a few times, but I hadn't got to talk about it a lot. So I won't go too great into detail, but I do figure the story is worth telling. When I will kind of go back, and I may have said some of this before, but when I was at my heaviest is when I was in college. I somehow, basically like the first year or two that I was in college, I didn't live on campus. I lived in a small apartment off campus that my grandmother owned. My typical day consisted of going to classes all in one building and then working in AV, where I didn't really do much but answer the phones. And I did that like 8 to 5, and then I came home and spent the rest of my evening, sitting at home on ATT, which is Alta Toys or Transformers for the old school Transformers people. But that was pretty much it. And during that time, I ate a lot. I ate an awful lot. It was not uncommon for me to, eat whole large pizzas by myself. It was not uncommon for me to, my common eating out meal was Wendy's, which was a triple cheeseburger with the really big fries and then the biggie sized Frosty.
I used to go to Burger King before closing and order the double cheeseburger, which has the small piece of hamburger, two pieces. I would go before they closed because I know oftentimes they were out of that cut of hamburger, and they would put Whopper patties on it at the same price, and I would order 2 or 3 of those. So
wow.
I'd get double Whopper cheeseburgers, and I would eat 3. I was
But breakfast, I was eating Fruit Loops out of a mixing bowl and stuff. So I was eating a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, there was no question as to why I was so big. And when I eventually had my surgery, or when I'd gone and I'd seen my doctor a few times about weight loss, and it was basically like, here's the deal. If you can't lose weight or can't get the weight off, you're going to be lucky to make it to 30.
Wow.
And of course, I was 20 at the time. So at that point, the more prominent surgery was the more invasive gastric bypass. Now, of course, most of what's done now is the lap band. So what I had was the Ruin X, or the Ruin Y, which is basically what they do is they cut off a section of your the stomach. They staple it off and sort of section it off. So it basically turns your stomach into a very small pouch. And then they run a separate line of intestine from that pouch and then reconnect it back into your lower intestine. So essentially you still have mostly of a functioning stomach as far as the lower part of the stomach.
Mm-hmm.
But the actual working part of your stomach is actually very, very small. So the immediate effect would be that you become full much faster, you feel satisfied much faster, and it just sort of, for lack of a better term, it really just sort of tricks your body into saying, oh, we're full, we've eaten, we still need energy, so let's burn all this fat. So, that's essentially how it works. Now, it's not without complications. There are potential complications just from the surgery itself. There's the complications from after you've had the surgery. It becomes difficult to, it sort of messes with your vitamin absorption, because a lot of that's done in your stomach. So you have to be very cautious about your vitamin intake. So I was constantly having to take vitamins and vitamin supplements at the time. So it's, kind of invasive surgery. Essentially, like I said, they make an incision from just below your sternum to just below your belly button, pull you open. They, of course, do all the work on the stomach. They also took my gallbladder out at the time.
Did that have any, was there a reason for that specifically?
Mainly it was just because of the genetics. My mom and other family members had issues, and typically with obesity, with like that level of obesity, it's not uncommon to have gallbladder issues.
Gotcha. Okay.
So they just went ahead and took it out while they were in there, rather than, having the likely scenario of having to remove it in another 2 to 3 years. So, so I came in. So my surgery was scheduled on December 14th of 1999. So the schedule was I was supposed to be you go in for the surgery. Typically, it's 3 to 4 to 5 recovery day process, and then would be sent home once I could eat, and then, of course, just starting the eating and recovery process from there. But so, I mean, as far as that surgery, like I said, it is extremely invasive. I mean, they are literally cutting your guts open and rearranging, the way your stomach works and the way your intestines and everything sort of, the way the food comes through. So fairly invasive. Like I said, they had told me about the risk, but, I was willing to say, well, if I don't have it now, I'm going to die later. So I may as well have it now and then do the work to try to get healthier. So go in December 14th, have the surgery, come out, everything goes awesome, real smooth. I was pretty much in and out, awake. My recovery process went really amazing. I came out and, within, a few days, I was up and around. I was walking the hallways. So I, really, I mean, as far as my recovery, I think my age contributed a lot. I think my activity contributed a lot, but and my determination at the time. So, I mean, the surgery was on Tuesday, and by Thursday or Friday, it was looking like I might be able to go home. And I had done all the pre-work and things, all the sort of the prerequisites. I was on the way. And then, like, Friday, I started to sort of not, and I had been eating at this point. I had already started eating some very small amounts, which I had started to do on Thursday. And it was after I started to eat that I started to not feel very well, and sort of went the weekend, ended up with a fever that I had a little bit over the weekend. So Monday morning they took me in to have, it wasn't exactly an upper GI, but it was something very similar.
Mm-hmm.
I had to drink this horrible chemical to do, and it wasn't barium, because barium is toxic to like the insides of your body.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it was something kind of derivative. It was absolutely the most horrible thing I've ever tasted in my life. And I had to drink like a whole cup full of it in order for them to get pictures. So I drank it that morning for the test, and then they came back like later in the day and said, well, we need some better pictures. So I had to go back and drink that horrible fluid again in order to give them more pictures in order to get a good look. So finally at like 8 o'clock that night, they came back and said, well, here's the deal. When we stapled you back up, it just happens sometimes that the staples actually cause punctures in the stomach. And what was happening is, as I had started to eat, that the food was coming out into my body cavity.
Oh, wow.
And had formed an abscess. So, of course, to me, they're saying, yeah, you've got this thing, and we're going to have to go back in and fix it up. And I said, okay, so when are they going to schedule that? And they're like, we're prepping the OR right now. So I was like, okay, I was not quite ready for that. So Monday, which was less than a week, or, just at less than a week than I had my first surgery, I was being rushed into the OR to be cut open yet again, which was extremely dangerous because my body hadn't really recovered from the first surgery.
Right.
And because once they got inside, they knew they were going to be up against an abscess. Of course, to me, they're like very general. And then to my mother, the doctor says, we're going to do everything we can to bring him out of surgery. So I'm like, I didn't know that till later, but I mean, basically they're, telling my folks to hope for the best and expect the worst, because it was very likely that I could have died on the table.
Wow.
When they actually did get me open, I had a 5-ounce abscess, which, if you have trouble imagining that, it's about a half a can of Coke. So if you think about that much infection in my body cavity, if they wouldn't have been able to remove it before it burst, I would have died from the infection. So on the table. So anyway, then I spent like 3 months recovering because I couldn't eat again until the hole in my stomach healed. They tried to fix it when they had me in surgery, and they weren't able to close it. So every week for like 7 weeks, I had to drink that horrible fluid every Monday morning, and then listen to the yet again disappointing news that I was not healed. So thankfully, I had a drainage tube out of the bottom part of my stomach, which wasn't connected but was still functioning, and I was able to eat out of an eating tube for that period. So I sort of got a jump start on the weight loss because I had to eat out of a feeding tube for about a month and a half. It was challenging, and I think I learned a lot about myself through that process, about what I can stand, what I can tolerate, what's important and what's not. It's an oddly focusing experience to go 7 weeks without eating anything.
I can't imagine. That's just incomprehensible.
Yeah, I mean, and nothing, no water. I didn't even drink anything. I could not eat anything. I could not drink anything. I took nothing by mouth.
Wow.
From the time I came out of the second surgery, which was, like I said, that December 20th, until my test came back clear, which was February 12th, I think. So maybe almost 2 full months that I could not eat anything. And I think that's why now, I don't really have a problem with the sort of what most people would consider to be a mundane diet.
Yeah. Because
I went so long without eating anything. I mean, 2 months, maybe not in the scheme of things, but I at least learned that I could go without,
What happened? Obviously, I mean, you lost weight from the surgery.
Well, it's not a miracle. And, when at the time I had a lot of focus, and at the time I thought I was pretty determined. And I don't know that I had really mentally prepared myself for what was going to come after. I think I had sort of fooled myself into thinking that it was going to be a miracle cure. And, of course, I lost a lot of weight. I think I was pretty much at my lowest. You can actually see some of the pictures, from my BotCon collection on my Facebook page.
That's when I met you.
Yeah, and so that's when we met. That was probably when I was at my lowest weight. But, of course, from there, you can still go around it. I mean, of course, your stomach is designed to expand, and it will stretch back out. So some of it is my stomach has stretched back out, and I can eat more. Some of it is what I was eating. I wasn't eating very healthy. I wasn't very active. So if you...
So you're eating, densely calorically packed foods.
Yeah, if you eat a lot of, Now, I can't eat... I mean, it's permanently changed some of my diet, because things like ice cream, for some reason, my stomach can't really process it anymore. So ice cream almost makes me sick. If I eat something that's too sweet, my stomach can't really process it anymore, and it makes me ill. And I still have problems with large chunks of meat. If it's steak, it has to be a really tender, almost kind of rare steak, because I can't. If it's if it's overdone or cooked too thick, then that's really hard on my stomach as well, because I don't have all of those same stomach muscles. So it is possible to circumvent, and that's why I say it's not a miracle. And my understanding is there's a lot of people that are in my boat that had that really invasive surgery, lost weight for a while, and then lost focus, didn't really make the life changes that they needed to, and then have put a lot of the weight back on. Now, like I said, I haven't put all of it back on, but I've put a lot back on.
Yeah, I mean, I knew things were bad from the surgery, that it was life-threatening, but I didn't realize it was that bad. That's rough.
It's about, I think for my thing, they said it was about a 1 in 100 chance that something like that would happen. And, a lot of times they don't necessarily catch it in time, and so that's where you can die. A lot of people that were older than me were having the surgery, so the mortality rate was a little bit higher from that. But, yeah. I mean, anytime you have a surgery like that, you can always, it's always a risk.
Yeah.
So
that sort of surgery isn't something that I'm currently, like lap band surgery, which is much safer. I mean, technology's improved. I mean, they literally go in and put it's a saline donut basically around your stomach.
Right.
And
right.
It can expand and contract based on your goals, and you can actually go in and adjust it. it's pretty cool. But my goal is to lose weight, naturally through diet and exercise. I've done it before, and later on I can go into my story. It's nowhere near as compelling, but it may be more illustrative because a lot of people lose weight, and it's a lot of people gain it back, and I've not gained everything back by any stretch, but it's something to share. So wow, that's really amazing, JD. We're all thankful that you're here because you're awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Like I said, this week I really haven't lost any weight. It's pretty even. I've been living in the hospital. That's a stretch. It's like 2 or 3 days, no big deal. Just busy with work, and I haven't had a chance to exercise. One thing that's sort of kept me down is, remember I said I had Eye of the Tiger and all that stuff. Well, it's been really hard to get me motivated. I can cut back on what I eat pretty well. But sometimes it's really hard to get me started in working out. Kim has been so great, my wife, about dieting and exercising, and she's really been pushing me, but it's not something that I've been that incredibly forthcoming. I'm not really temperature sensitive, but when it comes to working out, I don't like working out in the cold at all.
Mm-hmm.
Kim had surgery. We'd planned to do P90X. We actually bought it. I previously had actually downloaded video, but I actually bought the kit, so I have the whole thing. As soon as Kim is up and ready, we're going to do that. In the interim, I'm going to do the Connect stuff, and of course I'll use the Connect supplement. I actually just want it to play. I mean, if just by chance the diet, the exercise is part of it, but so we'll see where P90X goes. You kind of have to be pretty fit to do it. While I'm not ripped or anything, I'm still relatively healthy. I'm fat, but I've got good blood pressure. My heart's strong. I can still jog and run if I want to, but we'll see where that's going. So we've been going for quite a while, and we're actually running into Fanboy vs. Time, which is our comic book podcast. So I guess we can pretty much sign off, unless, JD, do you have anything that you want to bring up or talk about before we go?
No, I mean, I know I was really hardcore a couple weeks ago on the stairs, and I've got to get back into that. I was sick for a couple days and fell off, and so, but and that's a good point too. I mean, a lot of people really get down on themselves when, you start something and then you stop doing it, and then typically you get to that point where it's like, oh, I screwed it up, I can't do it anymore. Well, no.
Definitely not.
No.
Definitely not. You cannot look at it that way. Yes.
Yeah, you just start it back up. So I'm going to start the stairs thing back up. But no, I think in general, though, I am trying to be more conscious about being more active, getting up at work, just trying to at least get up and get moving around, doing more things around the house, just to try to be active, going out more, getting out of the house more, and just being more active, and then not trying to fill that with calories while I do that. But anyway, and I've got to do more vlogging. I'm so bad. Vlogging.
I need to do more of that. I need to get back into where I document the food that I eat. It's just, I suck. I'm not going to make excuses for it. I suck, and I will do better. Because I want to get there. I want to lose 100 pounds. 100 pounds. That's my goal.
Awesome.
Yes. Okay. So I guess that's it for this week. It's been Get the Skinny episode 4. We will be back next week. Promise we'll Get the Skinny episode 5, and I may go into my story again. Not as compelling as JD's, but to me it was pretty impactful all the same. So JD, you're awesome.
Brian?
Yes. We will see you next week, and thank you for listening or watching Get the Skinny. Find us at gettheskinny.org.
This has been Get the Skinny with your hosts, Brian Kilby and JD Church. Copyright 2010 Radio Free Cybertron. Get the Skinny.